it was just I just kept it really simple. You know, I'm such a fan of or I'm so committed to just the value of one's word.
Charlie Sheen made $150 million at the peak of his career, but by 2016 he was broke. Between 2007 and 2012 something happened that drained every penny. It wasn't just bad investments or expensive divorces. Charlie was spending $200,000 every single week on one thing. His dealer said even Mexican cartels. Couldn't believe how much he was buying. Then came a diagnosis in 2010 that changed everything. The hush money started flowing. $10 million to keep people quiet. But that was just the beginning of his nightmare. He was born on September 3rd, 1965, in a hospital in New York City. They named him Carlos. Erwin Estes. At the time, his father, Martin Sheen, was barely scraping by, pulling in just $95 a week doing off Broadway plays while trying to feed a family of 6. His mother, Janet, had been an art student. Their apartment was small. The bills stacked up fast. His older siblings, Elio, Ramon, and Renee, would all go into acting, too. But from the start, Charlie felt different. Unlike the others, he would eventually drop the Estava's name and take his father's stage name, Sheen, not just to fit in, but to separate, to carve his own path. That choice would follow him forever. When Charlie was 3, the family packed up and left New York. Martin had landed a film role and the subject was roses, and it was enough to get them to Malibu in 1968. Their new home wasn't fancy, but it sat right in the heart of Hollywood's dream factory. Charlie was too young to understand it. Oh, but he watched. He watched his dad vanish for months on movie shoots. He watched his mom juggle 4 kids with a shaky income. He tagged along to film sets. He wandered through industry parties. At 5 years old, he could name famous actors and understood what it meant to be somebody. He learned early that fame meant power, and he wanted both. At age 9, in 1974, Charlie got his first acting job. It was a tiny role in his dad's gritty World War II drama, The Execution of Private Slavic. He played a nameless kid at a wedding. On paper, it sounded harmless, but the film was about execution, death, betrayal. On set, he watched his father act out violent breakdowns again and again. Martin simulated his own death repeatedly while the 9-year-old watched. From the sidelines, behind the scenes, adults were drinking hard, some using drugs to handle the heavy material. The director later admitted it was probably wrong to let a kid be there, but Martin believed Charlie had to learn what showbiz really looked like, and Charlie did. The darkness, the pressure, the way pain could be dressed up as art. Then came March 1977. Charlie was 12. He was flown to the Philippines to visit the set of Apocalypse Now, where Martin was playing the lead. The film was already cursed. It had been hit by a typhoon. The budget was ballooning, and Francis Ford Coppola was pushing Martin to the edge for the sake of realism. Charlie arrived to find his father nearly dead. Martin had suffered a massive heart attack on March 5th. He was crying, walking with a cane. His hair had turned completely gray. He looked like a ghost. Charlie saw him, calling for a priest to give him last rites. That moment broke something open in him. The man he thought was invincible looked like he was 80 even, though he was only 36. That was the moment Charlie later called the root of everything, the trauma that stuck, the moment he learned how fragile life really was. Back home, he started high school at Santa Monica High in 1979. He was a baseball prodigy. As a shortstop, in pitcher, he had a 4,015 win record and could throw up to 85 miles per hour. His coach called him a model athlete, but Charlie's eyes were always somewhere else. His friends were Sean Penn, Rob Lowe, Chris Penn, Robert Downey Jr. They weren't just teammates. They were Hollywood royalty, and they partied like it. At night, they went to parties where coke and alcohol were normal. Industry. People passed them joints like candy. Charlie was just 17 when he started, drinking and smoking weed regularly. The parties were fun, but they also gave him something he didn't get at home: freedom, escape, a place to disappear. By 1983, his school life had collapsed. His attendance rate over 3 years was just 32%. He failed classes. He stopped bringing books home. His parents offered summer school. He said no. There's school during the summer. That's crazy. He had already decided he was going to be famous. Baseball was over. He'd been offered a scholarship to the University of Kansas to play shortstop, but he turned it down. Instead, he made short films with Aleo and the Penn brothers. Over 200 Super 8 movies in total. That was where his heart was now. That same year, just weeks before graduation, he was expelled. His school days were done, but he wasn't worried. He promised his parents he'd get his GED if acting didn't work out. He didn't finish high school until 2013, when he finally got his diploma at age 48. In Hollywood, he changed his name. He stopped being Carlos Estavas and became Charlie Sheen. He'd already changed Carlos to Charlie as a child, but now he adopted his dad's stage name, too. Martin had done it for survival. Casting agents wouldn't even return calls with a Spanish name. Charlie followed that same path. He later admitted, "I don't wake up feeling Latino. I'm a white guy in America." He had to blend in, and it worked. At 18, Charlie got his first real role in a 1984 TV movie called Silence of the Heart. He played Ken Cruz, the best friend of a suicidal teen. The film was heavy, full of guilt and grief. It forced him to show real emotion. It aired nationally. People noticed. Then came out of the darkness in 1985. He played a minor role opposite his dad, who was hunting the son of Sam Killer. It didn't get much attention, but it gave him a taste of professional sets and late-night Hollywood parties. And that's where cocaine first found him. That same year, he filmed The Boys Next Door. It was a dark story. Charlie played a violent teen. To stay in character, he isolated himself, never broke role, and even scared the crew. During one scene, he hit his co-star, Maxwell Field, without warning, injuring him for real. The production almost shut down. He lost 18 pounds over the 35-day shoot. People whispered about his mental state, but Oliver Stone saw the footage and cast him in Platoon, despite admitting he was worried about Charlie's mind. In Lucas 1986, he played Cappy, the football captain. The locker room scene took 47 takes. He cried from the pressure. He developed an eating disorder, dropping from 165 to 145 pounds. Corey Haim gave him prescription stimulants. That was a gateway to harder things. The film didn't do well at the box office. Charlie blamed his agent, fired him. By then, he was living on $47 a week in a rundown Studio City apartment with 2 roommates. Rent was $180. He ate top ramen, stole food from audition tables. His dad had cut him off financially after finding out he was using. They didn't speak for 6 months. He was about to give up and move to Ohio to work construction with an uncle. Then came Platoon. He hitchhiked to the audition because his 1976 Datsun had just been repossessed over $127 in missed payments. He walked in sweaty and desperate. Oliver Stone thought it was perfect. At the call back, Charlie injured his shoulder during a fake combat scene but kept going. That sealed it. He got the part. It was a $6 million movie that would make him a star, but just days before he'd been 48 hours away from quitting Hollywood for good. In February 1986, Sheen found himself 500 feet in the air, hanging out of an open-door Huey helicopter above the Philippine jungle. It was during a battle scene for Platoon. The pilot banked too hard. The door swung wide, and Charlie lost his balance. He was 20 years old, unstrapped, seconds from falling, but Keith David was sitting next to him. In a moment that wasn't scripted, Keith grabbed Charlie by the shirt and gear and yanked him back from what would have been a straight drop to death. Filming stopped for 2 days. The crew was shaken. Safety protocols were rewritten, and Charlie never forgot it. He said it on television. Keith David saved his life. The near-death scare came after a brutal 30-day boot camp that almost broke the cast. Military advisor Dale Dye took them deep into the jungle before cameras ever rolled. No showers, no toilets, just foxholes, 70 pounds packs, swamps, and rats. They dug trenches with their bare hands, ate cold sea rations, and slept, soaked in sweat and mud. At night, Dye set off fake ambushes with explosives and blanks. Charlie lost 20 pounds, his boots filled with blisters that turned black with infection. Forrest Whitaker cut his hand on barbed wire. Johnny Depp got an ear infection. William Dafoe cracked his ribs falling during a stunt. Charlie started drinking heavily to cope. The fear, the noise, the darkness. It followed them into their dreams. And Oliver Stone made it worse. Oliver Stone didn't want actors. He wanted soldiers. He isolated Charlie from the rest of the cast, told the others not to talk to him, made him feel alone. At night, Stone woke them up with gunfire and explosions, just to keep them scared. He wanted real tension, so he encouraged Elias and Barnes actors to dislike each other. He made the set feel like war. Even the dirt wasn't right for him. He flew in red Vietnamese soil because the local ground didn't look good enough on camera. He barely slept. Once he accused the editor of hiding footage from him, even though it hadn't been shot yet. The actors hated him during filming, but years later they admitted he pulled something raw out of them that couldn't have come any other way. After surviving Platoon, Charlie got a one-day cameo in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was paid $100,000 for 3 minutes of screen time to look strung out. He stayed awake for 48 hours straight. He showed up glassy-eyed, twitchy, perfect. He improvised most of it. John Hughes watched from behind the camera and smiled. That little role changed everything. Charlie didn't just do war movies. He could do comedy. He could steal a scene in seconds. And behind the scenes, those Hollywood parties started. John Hughes invited him out. Cocaine came with it. Fast, easy, endless. He had money now. He had fame. And it all fed the habit. By late 1986, Platoon was winning awards and Charlie was getting called back for reshoots. But something had changed. The cocaine wasn't casual anymore. He had gotten so deep that even the Mexican cartels thought he was dealing. He was just using that much. During one session, his nose bled for 18 hours. He shoved ice cubes up himself to stay standing. Oliver Stone nearly recast him, but the film exploded. It made $138 million on a $6 million budget, and Charlie's cut grew fast. By December 1986, he was worth $2 million. Nike endorsements followed, studio offers. It was everything he wanted and everything that made the problem worse. Then came Wall Street in 1987 to play Bud Fox, Charlie. Studied finance like his life depended on it. He spent days at Bear Stearns, nights in Seaport bars. He even threw $20,000 of his own money into stocks just to feel it. He earned $750,000 for the film, but the pressure cracked him. He was dating Daryl Hannah at the time, though they barely spoke on set. Critics called their chemistry negative, but the film worked. Michael Douglas won the Oscar. Greed is Good became a national echo. Charlie was a star, but inside the cracks were spreading. In 1988, he joined Young Guns. He played Dick Brewer, learned to shoot and ride fast, and nearly lost control when his horse bolted during a scene. The film made $45.7 million in the U.S. and $11 million abroad. Fans flooded the set. The studio hired Hell's Angels for security. The bikers got a cameo during Henry Hill's death scene. Charlie was untouchable. Then came 8 Men Out, another hit. He played Happy Felt soft and unsure, a ball player caught an A moral mess. He shot in Chicago, got good reviews and bonded with the cast, but the drugs kept climbing. By 1988, he was pulling in $5 million a year, but cocaine was already woven into his routine. Emily O tried to step in, tried to help, but Charlie was slipping fast. He checked into rehab for the first time in 1990, said he was exhausted, told USA. Today he was serious about sobriety, but the pattern had started. In Major League, he became Rick Wild Thing. Vaughn, he trained at spring camp. Through Real 95, I Pimapie fastballs, the glasses, the walk-up music. It all became legend. The film made $49.8 million, and Charlie's rebel image became his real one. He earned $1.75 million. Then on New Year's Day 1990, he shot Kelly Preston. They were engaged. He said it was a gun-cleaning accident. The bullet grazed her arm. She went to Cedars-Sinai. Police didn't press charges. She stuck to the story, but everyone knew it wasn't just about guns. It was about coke, paranoia, and spiraling control. Tabloids paid $50,000 for the story. She left. His career didn't crash. Yet, he filmed Navy SEALs next, rappelling from helicopters, underwater fights, real SEAL training.